The Toyota JZ engine family is a series of inline-six automobile engines. A replacement for the M series inline-six engines, the JZ engines were 24-valve DOHC engines. The JZ engine was offered in 2.5 and 3.0-liter versions. 1JZ, the 2492cc 1JZ version was produced from 1990 to 2007. Cylinder bore was 86 ohm and stroke was 71.5 ohm. It was a 24-valve DOHC engine with two belt-driven camshafts. 1JZGE, output for the early non-turbo 1JZGE was 170 PS at 6,000 rpm and 235 Nm at 4,800 rpm. Later released non-turbo 1JZGE had output of 200 PS at 6,000 rpm and 251 Nm at 4,000 rpm. The 2.5-liter 1JZ uses over square bore dimensions and, in naturally aspirated guise, a 10:1 compression ratio. With the aid of a DOHC, 24-valve head and a dual-stage intake manifold. Like all JZ series engines, the early 1JZGE is designed for longitudinal mounting and rear-wheel drive. All of these models also came with a 4-speed automatic transmission as standard. No manual gearbox option was offered. 1JZGTE. The first-generation 1JZGTE employs twin CT12A turbochargers arranged in parallel and blowing through a side-mount or front-mount air-to-air intercooler. With an 8.51 static compression ratio, the factory-quoted power and torque outputs are 280 metric horsepower at 6,200 rpms and 363 Nm at 4,800 rpms respectively. The bore and stroke are the same as for the 1JZGE, 86 ohm bore, 71.5 ohm stroke. Yamaha may have had a hand in the development or production of these engines, hence the Yamaha badging on certain parts of the engine, such as the cam gear cover. In 1991, the 1JZ GTE was slotted into the all-new Sora GT. The early generation 1JZ GTEs combined the inherent smoothness of an inline six-cylinder engine with the revving capacity of its short stroke and early power delivery of its small, ceramic-wheeled turbochargers. The ceramic turbine wheels are prone to delamination in the setting of high impeller RPM and local temperature conditions, usually a result of higher boost. The first-generation 1JZs were even more prone to turbo failure due to there being a faulty one-way valve on the head, specifically on the intake cam cover, causing blow-by gases to go into the intake manifold. On the exhaust side, a decent amount of oil vapor flows into the turbos, causing premature wear on the seals. The later second-generation engines had this problem fixed, and in Japan there was actually a recall in order to repair the first-generation engines, though that does not apply to 1JZs imported to other countries. The fix is simple, and involves replacement of the PCV valve. All parts are available through Toyota. The third generation of the 1JZ GTE was introduced around 1996, still as a 2.5-liter turbo, but with Toyota's beams architecture. This included a reworked head, newly developed continuously variable valve timing mechanism, modified water jackets for improved cylinder cooling, and newly developed shims with a titanium nitride coating for reduced cam friction. The turbo setup changed from parallel twin turbo to a single turbo. The single turbo is in part made more efficient by the use of smaller exhaust ports in the head. This allows the escaping exhaust gases to have more velocity as they exit the head, which in turn, spools the turbo faster and at lower RPM. The adoption of VVTi and the improved cylinder cooling allowed the compression ratio to be increased from 8.51 to 9.01. Even though the official power figures remained at 280 metric horsepower at 6,200 rpms, torque was increased by 20 Nm to 379 Nm at 2,400 rpm. These improvements resulted in increased engine efficiency that reduced fuel consumption by 10%. The adoption of a much higher efficiency single turbocharger than the twins, as well as different manifold and exhaust ports, were responsible for most of the 50% torque increase at low engine speeds. This engine was used primarily in Toyota's X chassis cars, the Crown Athlete V, and in the later JZZ30 Sora, as the JZA70 Supra was long discontinued by this time. Applications: Toyota Chaser Mark II Tourer v Toyota Sora, Toyota Supra Mk3, Toyota Verossa, Toyota Crown, Toyota Mark II Blit. 1JZ In around 2000, Toyota introduced what are probably the least recognized members of the JZ engine family, the FSE direct injection variants. These FSE-1JZ and 2JZ engines are aimed at achieving minimal emissions and fuel consumption together with no loss of performance. The 2.5-litre 1JZ FSE employs the same block as the conventional 1JZ GE. Everything up top, however, is unique. The A-D4 unregistered trademark FSE employs a relatively narrow-angle cylinder head with swirl control valves that serve to improve combustion efficiency. This is necessary to run at extremely lean air-fuel ratios around 20 to 41 at certain engine load and revs. Not surprisingly, fuel consumption is reduced by around 20%. Interestingly, normal unleaded fuel is enough to cope with the FSE unregistered trademark S11:1 compression ratio. The direct injection version of the 1JZ generates 147 kW and 250 Nm, virtually the same as the conventional VVTi 1JZ GE. The 1JZ FSE is always used with an automatic transmission. Applications: Mark II, Brevis, Progress, Verossa, Crown, Toyota Mark II Blit, 2JZ. The 3.0L 2JZ has been produced since 1991. Cylinder bore was 86 ohm and stroke was 86 ohm. VVTi variable valve timing was added later in 1997 for the 1998 model year. 2JZ-GE, the 2JZ-GE is a common version. Outputs is 215 euro 230 PS at 5800 to 6000 rpm and 209 euro 220 lb-ft of torque at 3800 to 4800 rpm. It uses sequential electronic fuel injection, has an aluminum head and 4 valves per cylinder with some versions using VVTi, along with a cast iron cylinder block. The VVTi version also featured DIS in favor of the traditional distributor setup previously seen on the 2JZ-GE. Despite common misconception, it was not a true COP ignition system, instead relying on one coil to fire 2 cylinders, one of which was by spark plug wire. Applications: Toyota Altezza AS300/Lexus IS300, Toyota Aristo Lexus GS300, Toyota Crown Majesta, Toyota Mark II, Toyota Chaser, Toyota Cresta, Toyota Progress, Toyota Sora/Lexus SC300, Toyota Supra Mk4, 2JZ GTE. The 2JZ GTE is an inline layout, 6-cylinder, belt-driven dual overhead camshaft, air-intercooled, twin-turbocharged, cast-iron block, aluminium cylinder-headed engine designed and manufactured by Toyota Motor Corporation that was produced from 1991 until 2002 in Japan. Development and evolution of the engine was, principally, a response to Nissan's relatively new and then successful RB26 DETT engine, which had achieved palpable success in FIA Group A and Group N touring car championships. For all road car applications, 2 gearboxes were available for the engine: Toyota A341 4-speed automatic, Toyota V160 and V161 6-speed manual. The 2JZ GTE originally powered the Toyota Aristo 5 in 1991 before becoming Toyota's flagship performance engine in the Toyota Supra RZ. Its mechanical basis was the existing 2JZ GE, but differed in its use of sequential twin turbochargers and an air-to-air side-mounted intercooler. The engine block, crankshaft, and connecting rods of the Supra's 2JZ GE and 2JZ GTE are the same, with notable differences being that the 2JZ GTE has recessed piston tops, oil spray nozzles to aid in cooling the pistons, and a different head. However, other 2JZ GE-equipped models share a different part number for connecting rods. Toyota's VVTi variable valve timing technology was added to the engine beginning in September 1997, whence it phased out the original engine. Consequently, maximum torque and horsepower was raised for engine selling in all markets. The addition of twin turbochargers, jointly developed by Toyota with Hitachi, in sequential configuration had raised its commercially cited output from 230 PS to the contemporary industry maximum of 280 PS at 5600 RPMs. In its first appearance, torque was advertised as 44.3 kg-meters at 4000 RPMs, to be later recited as 46.0 kg-meters with the introduction VVTi in production year 1997. The mutually agreed, industry-wide output ceiling was enforced by Japan's now-defunct Gentleman's Agreement exclusively between Japanese automakers selling to the Japanese domestic market. Engine power in the North American and European markets, as documented by Toyota, was increased to 325 PS at 5600 RPMs. The export version of the 2JZ GTE achieved its higher power output with the use of newer stainless steel turbochargers, revised camshafts, and larger injectors. The mechanical similarities between the Japanese specification CT20 turbine and export specification CT12B turbine allow interchangeability of the exhaust side propeller shaft. Additionally, the export-exclusive CT12B turbine received more durable turbine housings and stainless steel turbine and impeller fins. Multiple variants of the Japanese CT20 turbine exist discretely, which are identified with a B, R, and A part number suffixes. Applications: Toyota Aristo, Lexus GS JZS 147, Toyota Aristo 5300/Lexus GS 300 JZS 161, Toyota Supra RZ Turbo JZA80, 2JZF SE. The 3-liter 2JZF SE uses the same direct injection principle as the smaller 1JZF SE but runs an even higher 11.3:1 compression ratio. This engine matches the conventional VVTi 2JZ GE with 162 kW and 294 Nm. The 2JZF SE is always used with an automatic transmission. Applications: Brevis, Progress, Crown, Crown Majesta. See also, List of Toyota engines, Lexus GS, Toyota Supra. References. External links: Autospeed's Toyota JZ Engine Guide.